it never fails that I try to continue in a straight line doing videos that I think need to be done. Whether it's talking about social ills or whether it's talking about the martial arts, there's always a time where I'm always hoping that people don't drop stupid comments in the forums so I can continue the line of videos that I want to, because I write down the videos that I want to post, and I write them down in the order of importance. But it never fails that I will get home and I will look to see what comments came in, because I try to answer, at least for the first week, I try to answer as many comments as I possibly can. But it never fails that people assume things about me that are not true. And of course, there are people, I have a video for people who don't think I should be talking about race. I have no tolerance of anyone who thinks I shouldn't be talking about race in the United States of America. Okay, anyone who says, well, why are you talking about race? Okay, when America was founded on white supremacy, I automatically have no time for it. But it never fails that someone will make a comment, and I know that this comment is assuming that I don't know what I claim to know. It is almost always the case with people who assume that I don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, I posted a video showing things that I said many years ago, and showing that Hol Gracie agreed with me, and that Hoist agreed with me. Okay? And then there's still some people who question whether or not my knowledge of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is legitimate. One such individual made a comment, and I want to address what he said, because there might be some people who think the same thing. And in this video, I'm going to say a few things about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that most people don't even bring up, but I forgive people for not bringing these things up. I forgive people for not bringing these things up. Okay? I don't hold it against them. But I'm going to tell you the criteria. The criteria when people talk about knowing about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But what I want to do here, I want to address this issue that I've never addressed over a period of 12 years. Never, over 12 years. Many people think I've addressed everything. I haven't. I simply don't have time to address every idiot, right? But this idea that many people from the American middle class, mostly white, assume that I've never trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Let me say here, at 16, I had a brown belt in judo. At 16, I had a brown belt in judo. Now, the only reason why I didn't get my black belt in judo was because on the outskirts of New Brunswick, New Jersey, at that particular time, and we are talking about 1977, that long ago, 1977, I am 16, and there just was not, UFC didn't come till 1993. There just was not that much attention to keep the judo school open. And it closed down before I got my black belt. But I had a brown belt in judo. When I was 16 in 1977. Many years later, I did happen to go into a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. Now, I've never said this, but I'm going to make a few points about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu so my critics understand who they're talking to. Okay? So my critics understand who they are talking to. So listen up. I did, and it happened to be a black belt. I'm not going to mention his name because he still teaches. Happened to be a Hol Gracie black belt. And I went into the school, And I told him I was interested because I have a wrestling background. I'm interested in why did I go train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? So I would know what I was talking about. I needed to know what I was talking about. And at that particular time, I was 45 years old. 45. I walked into that school. I said I was interested in no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I have a wrestling background. He said, no problem. Okay? I came in the following Saturday. Where did we start? On the ground. I participated in the class. The following Saturday I came in. Where did we start? On the ground. I came in one more Saturday. Where did we start? On the ground. When I spoke to this Hol Gracie black belt and asked him, why are we starting on the ground? Why are we not using takedowns, then going into pins, then going into submissions from there? Why are we not doing that? We got in a little dispute. I left, never went back. Because you only have so much time in life. You only have so much time in life. And as far as I was concerned, and still am concerned, there is no sense in anybody training in anything that is teaching in a way that they are not prepared to learn. Okay? So this idea that I've never trained in traditional grappling, I have a brown belt in judo and had it when I was 16 years of age in 1977. And I did train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay? But because they were training in a very illogical, in a very sport kind of way, sport manner, I left. And don't recommend anybody ever training in any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school and they don't start on their feet, at least sometimes in the classes. And that's no gi. Most of the time you should be starting on your feet. Most of the time. Okay? Because that's where it starts. Now, most people who claim to know about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu don't. And again, for 12 years, I have not held this against the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community, and particularly middle-class American Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community. For the most part, I haven't. Here's the reality. Most people have no idea about the history of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Most of them don't. Now, yes, catch wrestling had a major effect on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. People know that. But the person they don't mention is Carlon Gracie. Carlon Gracie, right? That is the mastermind of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The son of Carlos. Okay? That side of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that had the most influence on Hol Gracie. Hol Gracie. The real genius of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Who, ironically, I never hear any of my critics talk about Hol Gracie. You know why? Because they don't know who he is. They're going to look him up now. Right now, they're going to look up Hol Gracie. Right now, my critics are going to sit up and try to look up Carlon Gracie. Right now. But why have they been talking? Why have my critics been talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu like they really know it? But they never mentioned Carlon Gracie. 12 years, I've never heard any one Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu critic of mine who gets mad because I say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is it has been dirtied and has been trashed by the American martial arts community. None of the people who criticize me know anything about Carlon Gracie. Why should you know about Carlon Gracie? Because Carlon Gracie is that side of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu who demanded that his students study judo and wrestling. Carlon Gracie is one of the biggest reasons why Hol Gracie trained in wrestling. And what did it cost Hol Gracie? Do you people know this? What did it cost Hol Gracie to go into wrestling? To tell Hol Gracie that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would be lifted higher if they brought wrestling in. Hol said that. He said that to Hol. And you know what Hol did? He disowned him. My Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu critics know nothing about that history. Know nothing about it. They'll look it up now. They will look it up now. But I swear to you, they have never mentioned it in 12 years. Never mentioned the brilliance of Carlon Gracie. You know why? Because the middle class American Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community know nothing about the real history of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. One or two people are going to come in the forum as soon as this video was over and tell me, oh yeah, they know, 12 years, nobody said anything about Carlon Gracie. Carlson, not Carlos, the son of Carlos, Carlon Gracie, who demanded that judo and wrestling be trained, that his jiu-jitsu students cross-train in wrestling and judo. Right? Most people don't even talk about the fact that Carlon Gracie was the biggest influence on Hol Gracie. The biggest influence on Hol Gracie. That's why Hol Gracie went in 1979 to the Pan Am Games in San Diego. Guess who saw him in 1979 at the Pan Am Games in San Diego? Me. Because I was with a wrestling team. I had blew out my knee, and I was with a wrestling team that helped them train. And I saw Hol Gracie. And the thing that I remember most about Hol Gracie in 1979 in San Diego at the Pan American Games was how terrible he looked in his one-piece wrestling outfit. Skinny, hairy, looked terrible. But he had dogged determination. Couldn't get away from him. His technique was not nearly as good as everybody else's, but he won and he did well. 79, San Diego, the Pan Am Games. Did you know that Hol Gracie refused to let him stay with him over the weekend? Hol Gracie. That's why Carlon Gracie hated Hol. Do you people know that? You don't know it. You know nothing about the true history of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Hilio. That's what they talk about. Hilio. Carlon Gracie, baby. Carlon Gracie, the son of Carlos. That was the one that was getting ready to take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to higher levels. That was the one that influenced Holes. That was the one that told Holes he needed to go into wrestling. Right? That's why Holes went into the Pan Am Games in 1979. That's why Holes started training with Bob Anderson. Who's Bob Anderson? Bob Anderson was the coach of Randy Couture. Was a wrestling coach, Greco-Roman wrestling coach of Randy Couture. How many of you people know that? You don't know it because you don't know the history of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man. You don't know the history of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I've been nice. I've been trying to avoid hurting your feelings. I started training martial arts when I was 9 years old, man. 9 years old. I had martial arts karate teachers that were on a cover of magazines when nobody even heard of Gracie's. When nobody even heard of the Gracies. So if you're talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you're not talking about Carlon Gracie and his implementing judo and wrestling into the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. If you don't know about Hol Gracie competing in wrestling, if you don't know about Hol Gracie disowning Hol Gracie because Hol Gracie said Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would be lifted to a higher, would be advanced if they put wrestling in. Why? Because he felt that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu didn't have the takedowns it needed, and Hol Gracie wanted to use wrestling takedowns. If you don't know that Hol Gracie turned his back on Hol Gracie and wouldn't even allow Hol Gracie to spend the night with him when he was out there in the Pan Am Games in 79 in San Diego, did you know that, people? You didn't know that. Did you know that's why Carlon Gracie hated Hol Gracie? Did you know that? No, you're talking about Hilio. God bless the dead, you're talking about Hilio. Anybody who's only talking about Hilio don't know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Anybody who thinks Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was Hilio, only Hilio, doesn't know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Doesn't know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You understand what I'm saying to you? And last but not least, they will never talk about it. Never talk about it. But there's a reason why Rickson and Hilio, there's a reason why Rickson and Hol aren't really as tight as what people think. I don't care what you see on video. They're not really as tight as people think. You know why? Because Hol Gracie was a teacher of Rickson. Hol Gracie was a teacher of Rickson. And Rickson knows that Hilio turned his back on Hol Gracie because Hol wanted to cross-train in wrestling. Okay? He wanted to cross-train in wrestling. And Hilio being loyal, and Hol being loyal to his father, Hilio followed the orders of Hilio and disowned Hol Gracie. But since Gracie has a brand and they want to be secret about a lot of things, I can understand why the family want to protect their honor. Most of you don't even know that, man. Most of you don't even know what went on with Horion and Hoist, with Horion and Hickson, because Hickson loved Hol's like a brother, like a true brother, because that wasn't Helio's father. That wasn't Helio's son. That wasn't Helio's son. Helio raised him, then disowned him when he said he wanted to cross train with wrestling because he felt it would make Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu better. So I'm gonna leave this video like this. I'm gonna leave it at this. But the bottom line is, if you don't want to be embarrassed by this man who many of you love to hate, if you don't want to be embarrassed, then stay in your place. Stay in your place. Because when you talk about martial arts and you're my critic, if you're a critic of me, and you're talking about martial arts, I'm not saying I'm above criticism, but anybody who knows real martial arts, they don't criticize me. They know. They know that I'm saying things that most people don't say. They know when someone's legitimate. Because one of the ways you find out if someone's legitimate is if they say something that either no one is ever saying or they're saying something before anyone says it. And for 12 years, I've been saying things about the martial arts, whether it's the Philly shell or it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've been saying things about the martial arts that people thought I was crazy for saying when I said at first. And then 10 years, 7 years, 8 years later, comes out that I was right about it all the while. So I'm going to finish it up. If you really know about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know about Carlon Gracie. And why should you know about Carlon Gracie? Because Carlon Gracie demanded that his students cross-train in judo and wrestling. If you know about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know that Hol Gracie was most influenced by Carlon Gracie. That's why Hol started training in wrestling. That's why he went to the 1979 San Diego Pan Am Games. If you really know about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know that Helio was pissed off because Hol's felt that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighters should cross-train in wrestling, and he disowned him. If you really know about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know that Horion disowned Hol's on the orders of Helio, and for that reason, no matter how much you see them smile in the video, no matter how much you see them smile in the picture, Hickson and Horion are not very close. Why? Because Hickson was taught by Hol Gracie. You people can like me or you can hate me, but I have loyal subscribers. Loyal subscribers. You don't have to ever subscribe to my channel. But you being butthurt because I know more than your idol, that's what it is, man. Get over it. It is what it is. See you next video.